TKL keyboards have come a long way, and there's a bunch of good budget options out there. This particular brand, Velocifier, has showed up in my feed a bunch of times. They finally figured out, hey, I'll try them. They actually have a lot of reviews, and it's a company I have yet to really try. One of the things I learned is they use Zorro Brown switches. Well, Zorro switches are fairly new to me. I don't have any experience with them whatsoever. So that was the number one reason that I wanted to get this. This review is going to focus, as I'll say in a moment, is going to focus primarily on those switches. So let's go ahead and roll into it and take a look at this and see what I thought about it. There's not RGB lights. There's no fancy light show you can do with it. It's simply a pretty straightforward, about $30 or less than $30 TKL mechanical keyboard with brown switches, which is pretty cool. Most budget mechanical keyboards are what? Blue switches. Drives me crazy. Keyless keyboards have a lot to offer, and unfortunately at a close to full 104 or more key layout prices, deciding on what is good and what works for you can be a challenge, as there are a lot of options on the market. Sometimes we shoot blindly and hope for the best. If it isn't a well-established, reputable, easily recognized company, it can be easy to feel concerned about your decision. I mention this because my goal is to try to find these brands and attempt to identify if there's any good price to value ratio with them. I attempt to establish if construction and functionality is worth the lower cost, if taking a chance on a company you have never heard of is worth it. I travel these roads hopefully to find the good, the bad, and the ugly about these companies and their products. This review will capitalize more on the switches of the keyboard and the feel of the switches than it will on the actual construction. If construction of the keyboard is your primary concern, then know that in my opinion it gets a passing grade. For a brown switch keyboard, it meets the marks with non-floating caps and a raised bezel casing. Thick, durable plastic shell construction helps to reduce noise, which in a red or brown switch keyboard is sort of the objective goal, at least by my standards. Touching on a few things with measurements. It's about 14.5 inches wide with 6.5 inches depth. It's about 1.25 inches tall without the feet raised, but about 1.5 inches tall with the feet raised. It comes with a 5-foot non-braided USB cable, which if I were to be picky should be 6 feet long. With TKL keyboards, I'm also a fan of interchangeable USB cables like you can find in the E-Element Z88. I'll put a link to that down below so you can check it out. Velocifier has some traction as a budget gaming company. This is my first look at a Velocifier product though, and it's been a good experience so far. The TKL01 is a mechanical keyboard that comes in at a reasonable price. At the time of this review, about $30. The case could be made that for around this price, or for a little bit more, you can get a more aesthetically feature-rich RGB keyboard from other brands like Red Dragon or Gambius. Albeit Gambius doesn't have a TKL keyboard at this time, there is a reason I picked this keyboard to try specifically. In most budget-branded mechanical keyboards, we encounter a variety of blue switches, usually loosely referred to as Cherry MX clones by others, not me. Typically, a lower-priced company will go with Otemu or TTC. Other higher quality and more known cross-stem Cherry MX keycap compatible switches are Kale. This specific TKL keyboard uses Zorro switches. Important to know is that these switches may resemble similarities in travel distance and sound, but are typically all different in their own way, some which you may even like better than Cherry MX. The switch implemented in the TKL01 is that of the Zorro Brown flavor. In general, it should be loosely similar to the Brown Cherry MX switch, or so I had hoped. Cherry MX Brown switches are my all-time favorite. I prefer the feel of the thump-style bump to the click-clack clickiness of the blue switches. Let's pause here real quick and take a quick listen. We'll compare this with some other switches that I have laying around so that you can hear a difference between Zorro Brown switches and things like Cherry MX Silents or some Otemu Blues, so you can kind of get that idea of what they might sound like when you use it. You may be wondering, are these Zorro Browns similar to Cherry MX Browns? In color, yes, but in real-world experience, The truth is, they don't remind me of Cherry MX Browns at all. I currently use Cherry MX Silents and a Corsair K70, and I find that the Zorro Browns are eerily similar to the MX Silent switches. They feel light and have a more mushy response. This is something I didn't expect. The MX Silent switch makes the mechanical keyboard feel almost membrane-based while still offering that mechanical feel and sound. While that statement may sound confusing, let me try and be a little bit more confusing by saying not like a mechanical keyboard either. The feel of the switches can be a difficult thing to explain and will likely require you to have some real-world experience with different mechanical keyboards. The keyboard is backlit but with an odd color choice, and only a single color choice at that. The color is labeled as greenish, which I was not looking forward to. But in person it appears somewhere between teal and cyan, or bluish in color. In person I think it looks okay. okay. Build construction seems great, decent feet with rubber padding to help grip the surface. I've seen better budget implementations, but these feet work fine and hold well. A sturdy body construction and sleek design that offer a well-rounded, simplistic feel. No fancy over-the-top frills or no over-marketing hype about non-existent capabilities. If you don't like exposed or floating keycaps, this is a great option to consider also. The biggest thing for me is the switches. They aren't bad, in fact they feel pretty great, but the Zora Brown switches aren't the brown feel that I was hoping for. Make doo-doo joke here. This was my first interaction with Zorro switches, and I plan on investigating the manufacturer a little bit further so I can try out some more Zorro switches in the future. Having used and been using the MX Silent switches for a while, I can't help but draw the close comparison that favors the Silents, or maybe more similar to the red switches. It works well, and it works as advertised. If future issues arise with these Zorro switches, I'll be sure and follow up about that. Guys, I hope this was somewhat informative and I hope you liked it, but if not, oh well, hit that dislike button and move on. Made me sad like a panda bear. Have a great day, night, whatever it is. I'll see you in the next video that I do. Stay tuned for Son of Chroma coming up soon, because we've got a lot of parts kind of arriving for that. I'll be doing part 2, part 3, 4, however many parts there's going to be for that. And the arcade build is finally about to begin, so I'm excited about that, and I hope you are too. Maybe that doesn't appeal to everybody, but hopefully it will. Guys, have a great day, night, whatever it is. I'll see you in the next video that I do. Tape dispenser accident. Tripod accident. I don't know. That's another accident. I'm telling you guys, doing videos is dangerous work.